Can't play drums.
That's all right. Everybody's a good air drummer.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back. Take two, guys. We started this podcast and my inexperience took over. And we recorded no sound the first time for about, 4 minutes. So anyway, back to Two Cops, One Donut. This is an impromptu episode as one of my military buddies decided to surprise me this weekend and showed up to the house with him and his kiddos. And I was like, hey, dude, let's do an episode while you're here. So I do not have Zentino with me again because the poor guy, he is working. And nobody knew we were going to do this episode today, even me. So here we are. I've got Jeremy Hayes of the United States Air Force. He works in security forces. He's been in security forces for about 15, 16 years. And I know that because we started together. And that's how I met the guy. So in the Air Force and any other military, you tend to make lifelong friends. Now, there's a lot of people I knew in the Air Force, but very few like my boy Jeremy here. So he said, I asked him if you want to be on the podcast, and he said, yes, I do. I said, all right, dude, let's do it. So he's been watching, he's been giving me critiques and
Every single one.
telling me how to improve. And I told him, I'm like, dude, this is fun to do, but it's a big learning curve. As you see, this is take two for us because I screwed up already.
That's all right.
So my bad, dude.
It's all good.
So we decided to start this off right. This is not a sponsor of mine, but I don't mind giving him a shout out because I love the whiskey and I met the guy, Jay Novacek. This is his whiskey. It's called Novacek 84. Cleverly enough, it's his football number, 84, and it's the proof of the whiskey. So, but I think it's good.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. Very smooth.
And I told Jay to his face, I said, hey, dude, if I didn't like your whiskey, I would have said it.
You're going to tell him.
I would have told him, but it's good.
Mm-hmm.
And a matter of fact, this is my second bottle because I didn't want to open the one that he signed.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I'll just leave that on. Because I figured if I start manipulating it, and then I'm going to wear away the autograph and all that stuff. But I like it. Salute, sir. Thanks for being on here.
Thanks
Appreciate
for having
it.
me. Thanks for everything you're doing with us.
I appreciate that, sir. So I got to start the episodes out the same way every time. Well, I don't have to, but I choose to. So let's get the sponsors out of the way. I only have one.
For now.
For now.
For now.
HRH Combat Arms. That's www.hrhcombatarms.com. This place has been awesome to me. It's the only place I go to get my weapons. They do Cerakoting, gunsmithing, and it doesn't just stop with the guns with them, which is cool. Last time I was over there, he had a ton of car parts. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Are you like changing career fields? You going into the garage? But basically, he'll Cerakote like high performance vehicles.
Oh, wow.
Their turbos and stuff. He had those all laid out. And his name is Paul Ware. He's everybody calls him Sarge. He's a retired police officer, 30 years.
Wow.
Also a security forces guy.
Really? I didn't know
Yes.
that. Nice.
And that's where Sarge and I have the connection is like, he's like, okay, yeah, you're a cop. Cool. I was a cop too. But what are the odds that we were both cops and both security forces? So he was old school too, back when security forces.
Oh, when it was good.
Yeah. So
not with this new badge.
right. Like he still got his revolver and all that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. And
That
he's
suicide holster.
yeah. So he's legit. He's so fun to talk to. If any of you guys ever get a chance, head up there. He's also got a badass Marine Corps guy that works up there. I know you can't say a former Marine or ex-Marine. They get all pissy.
Always a Marine.
Yeah. Their feelers get hurt. Yeah. Hoorah. I like messing with him. I messed up last time. I thought Paul was the only owner. I didn't realize they were co-owners because that's not really a discussion for me to ask, hey, do you own it too? So I messed up and he started crying, dude. Like Steve started tears were coming down his face. I think he said, I wish I joined the Air Force.
Probably.
Something like that. Yeah. So
most of them do that.
Steve, man, it's never too late. I mean, you're a little older, but I still think you're in the realm to be able to get in the Air Force if you need to. I mean, we've got the best chairs, the best golf courses, and the best chow halls out there. So
he's going to love that.
I know. Steve's a good dude, but he's their master gunsmith. And the stuff the guy comes up with, it's not just let me take these pre-existing parts and make something. If he has a vision of a gun that he's going to make, He creates it.
Did he create that one?
He was a part of it. Yes.
Yeah.
That now on this one, if I'm not mistaken, and again, I'm not a gun expert. I will never claim to be a gun expert. I had a hard enough time remembering last time that this was a Santan receiver. I was like, Santan tactical, blah. I can't remember. It's a Santan tactical receiver. I've got that down now with the CMC curved trigger, combat trigger there. So it's a badass rig, but it's all prefab parts. So no, I don't believe he did anything unique, extra to it. But I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'm sure I'm going to get a nasty gram. Hey, dude.
I did all that.
I was actually supposed to go pick up another gun, but I didn't plan on doing an episode so quickly. So, matter of fact, I have another episode tomorrow too, which you're going to get to see that one. So, yeah, if you guys want to look into them, I give them my personal recommendation. You can find them at 5025 Saunders, Suite 103 in Fort Worth, Texas, 76119. Phone number is 682-304-0363. Excuse me. Drink got me. And again, it's www.hrhcombatarms.com. So now that we got those sponsorships out of the way, let's get into what we're going to talk about today, which I told you what we're going to talk about, right?
Yeah.
I did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My Air Force history.
Yeah. So Jeremy's got a unique perspective when it comes to law enforcement. We've got the civilian side, which is my expertise, but I've also worked on, I work for the military side, but I only did 4 years active duty. So I'm going to still say my knowledge is more of an intermediate to rookie level when it comes to the Air Force, because I didn't do all the aspects of it. I did my 4 years active and I got out. I got some good experience while I was there, and it was a good stepping stone for me in my law enforcement career in the civilian side. But you kept going, buddy, and you hit a lot of check marks when it comes to doing security forces. So first thing I want to start out with was just give me your version of how your career started, where you saw it going or where you wanted it to go, and then how you see it in comparison to today's law enforcement.
I gotcha. So right away, like you said, we met right there in tech school, 15 years ago. No. It doesn't seem like that, does it?
I know. You got so old. I look good still.
Shut up. I still got the salt and pepper coming through.
Right.
I started off with security. Some people go law enforcement, but I got stuck in Montana, Garden, things out there in the missile field.
I wouldn't say that's stuck.
No, it wasn't what I planned on.
Right.
I thought I was going to go security forces, do the whole, pulling people over, writing tickets, things like that. And then Air Force is like, no, we're going to send you somewhere else.
Okay, so I think we got to remember, like, you and I know what we're talking about, but most of the people listening aren't going to know. So in security forces is basically military police, but it's split in its job duties.
It is, but it's... So in the old days, it was definitely split.
Yes.
You either did law enforcement or you did security. In the 90s, they merged all of them.
Right.
Which...
Terrible move.
It's good and it's bad.
It's terrible.
It's depending on who you talk to. I can see both sides because it helps with shuffling people around.
Gotcha.
But one of the guys that I work with now told us that, yeah, we're a jack of all trades. We're good at a lot of things, but we're not great.
Not master of any.
At all. We're one of the biggest career fields, and we only have one AFSC, one job.
Right.
We were maintenance.
An AFSC.
Air Force Security Code.
Okay.
So...
Got to remember, not everybody knows what we're talking about.
So that's your specific job.
Yeah.
So maintenance might have 12 to 15 different jobs that they can do within maintenance.
Tire changer guy, gasoline guy. Yeah.
Air filler upper guy in a tire.
Right.
I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
But security force is just your security forces.
Right.
The only difference you might get is if you shred out, is what they call it, to be CADM or K9. So... I decided to leave the missile field. I did not like that. That was not the path for me, even though it was so easy. I mean, how it was.
It's a big responsibility. Hard to stay focused.
It is.
Because nobody's trying to steal our news.
Yeah. But you don't even know what you're guarding.
Right.
You're out there, nothing's happening. It's so redundant.
Yep.
And, I was 22 when I came in. I want action.
Yeah.
I was like, who's peeking over that hill? Nobody. All right, cool. Let's go.
Yeah. A coyote.
Yeah.
I will say that while we were in Montana, though, the nature side of it,
amazing.
I love that.
Yeah. You
I
can't
mean,
beat
if
it.
I got stuck out waiting for a reset, so basically an alarm would go off at a nuke site, which could be set off by a rabbit. And you go out there and you got to wait for him to reset, which could take 10 minutes, could take 2 hours. And while you're waiting for the reset, you're just sitting there enjoying nature out in the prairies or in the mountainside. But sorry to cut you off.
You're good.
Keep going.
So I knew I needed a change. So from there, I decided to go K9. Went down to Lackland Air Force Base where they train all the brand new handlers for the DOD. Go down there, did the schooling, came back to Montana for a few weeks, and then PCS down to Keesler Air Force Base.
What state's that in?
Mississippi, the best base. It's one of the best bases, hidden gem in the Air Force. Oh yeah.
Shout out to, what is it? Keesler?
Yep.
Shout out to Keesler.
Yep. So perfect base for, families. There's so much to do down there between all the different festivals that they have, casinos.
It's Festivus. They have Festivus?
I don't know what that is.
From Seinfeld. I forgot. You're a Friends one. Look, you're either Friends or you're
Pivot.
Seinfeld.
Pivot. Okay.
Pivot.
All right. So loved it down there. My wife, my 2 kids were down there, and they loved it as well.
So how was your wife and my 2 kids?
You're stupid.
Oh, okay.
Carrie loved it down there just because the weather was, you could go to the, shut up. You could go to the beach. They had pools everywhere, splash pads. We had a lot of friends with boats.
On the
jet
base?
skis.
Splash pads and stuff?
Yeah.
Dang, that's your tax dollars, folks.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for my service.
Yeah, right. we had so many people that had boats and jet skis that when we would go out on the weekends, it was like a gang.
Really?
Yeah. So like one person would have a pontoon boat and there'd be like 8 or 9 jet skis following behind it. And everyone's like, what the hell is that? Like, what's going on? And you just ramping the wakes and you're not supposed to, but.
And it's all your team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing, guys. If you're military is very close knit because you have to be. Police life is very similar because you're working 12, 14, 16-hour shifts. This is military and civilian side. And you're with the same people all the time. It's just natural. You get close. So when you're on your off time, you're hanging out with those same people because they're off on the same days you are for the most part. So you got a little more freedom on the civilian side. And you do tend to make a little bit more friends outside of your circle of people.
Yeah.
So
you get more opportunity.
Yeah. And I'll say that's one of the bigger differences from me getting out. That I noticed I started gravitating towards friends that weren't in the career field because it was just something different. So
I got you.
So you guys were jet skiing. You got a big train of your whole team out there just enjoying.
Lonely Island. I'm on a boat.
There you
nonstop. It was crazy.
Nice.
But just had a great time down there. And what really made it good for me was the trainers and the people I had in the kennels teaching me how to be a handler. I was a brand new staff sergeant, so teaching me how to be an NCO in the Air Force. And it was amazing. I couldn't have picked a better place to be K9 at. When I first got down there, I got put with a drug dog. Everyone else got put with bomb dogs because they got there before me. So I missed out on all the Gucci deployments, you know, Iraq, Afghanistan, things like that. So I didn't get to see any combat with that. I got to go to Qatar as a deployment, which is not really a deployment. It's more like a TDY.
Okay. Explain that.
So
explain deployments. Explain like the good ones, the bad ones, and
it's all subjective.
Okay.
All right. So some people might think that a good deployment is, okay, I got, you know, a good chow hall. I got a pool. I got a good gym. You know, I wanted to go canine so that I could feel like I was really doing something, you know, really, you know, seeing something happen. You know, being previously out in the missile field, I never saw what I was doing out there. You know, yes, it was important, but it's something that, you know it's important, but you don't get to see the fruit of your labor.
Right.
So canine, I wanted to actually go out, find bombs and things like that. And then right when I get there, they're like, oh, you're going on a drug dog. I'm like, oh God.
Okay.
So, my friends that were down there, You know, I got one that's a Purple Heart recipient, a few others that have Bronze Stars, you know, just some badass guys.
Don't be afraid to shout their names out. Give them some props.
Jay Martin, you're a fucking beast. Garth St. Clair, Ben Collins. Let's see, Chris Perez. Who else is down there? Not friends with him anymore, but he was still a beast. Jay Peak. Excuse me. These guys were just monsters in the kennels, and I learned so much from them. Nick Ford is another one. Just monsters. You know, everything I learned from Canine, 100%.
Yeah.
From those guys. So I didn't get the experience they had downrange, but I took everything that they had and just kept it, you know, in the toolbox. Because when you go Canine, you're not going to stay a handler forever. You might, you know, if you don't progress, but that wasn't going to be my track.
So how do you lose Canine?
So usually you'll lose it if you rank out or if there's an influx of handlers at a base. If you've been in the kennels too long and all of a sudden we've got, you know, an airman that just graduated handler's course, he needs a dog, then sometimes they'll push out the experienced guys to make room for the younger guys to get experience.
Okay.
It sucks. You lose some good handlers, but at the same time, it keeps fresh blood in there.
Right.
Sometimes it's good because of that. Sometimes it's bad because you lose the experience that you have in those kennels. Your most experienced guy could get pushed out, and now you've got, you know, guys that have only been canine for 2 years.
Okay.
Trying to teach someone who is brand new.
Okay. So I want to keep talking about the progression of your career, but so this is, I think, the first thing that we're discussing that can relate to law enforcement in the civilian world as well. So with your canine training, all the stuff they had you do, how would you compare it to what because you've trained with civilian police and you've worked with them in real world. So knowing how civilian, and when I say civilian, I mean United States cops, we're not talking military function. So how would you compare that job duty and the training compared to the job duty and training of the Air Force?
I can go back and forth on it. I feel like military might get more training for the handlers to be better handlers. But the problem that we have with the Air Force is that your dog doesn't stay with you. So when I was at Keesler, I think I had 4 or 5 different dogs, and I was there for maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
If you're a civilian handler, once you have your dog,
it's your dog.
That's your dog.
Yeah.
You know, they come home with you. The bond that civilian handlers have with their dogs is ridiculous.
And you think that's a benefit as being a canine handler?
For a civilian, yes.
Yes.
But the problem I've seen with civilian handlers is they might go to, like, you know, a 2 or 3 week course to learn how to be a handler. And then from there, they're expected to go out and know everything, what to do with their dog. It takes a long time to figure out what a dog is thinking, what a dog is going to do. You have to be proactive rather than reactive, setting yourself up so that you're not going to put that dog in a situation to where it's going to hurt you, it's going to hurt someone else, it's going to hurt himself. It's a tool, just like anything else.
Right.
So I feel like the civilian side of it, you know, just from my view, they don't have as much training as Air Force handlers do, or DOD,
right?
I should say.
Well, from my perspective, from what I've seen with K9 and almost going K9 right before I got out, that's actually the determining factor of why I got out. But you guys train almost daily. I mean, in some form or fashion, and that is just the regiment. Larger departments, such as the one I work for, that we don't talk about the name, but the one I work for, that's liability purposes, folks. I got to separate myself from my department. But those guys train almost daily. I don't think they train every day, but they're doing something with their dogs. Yeah. And that's huge. But like you said, the majority of the departments in this nation, they're small. And it's a family dog. And it's a work dog. So that separation is gone, and you don't have somebody over top of you with the expectations of going out and training, where you guys don't have a choice because, and there's a reason they call it military and then they call police work paramilitary. Like military, like here's the order, you do it.
Yeah. If you don't, consequences.
Big consequences. Yeah. We're not just talking like, hey, I'm going to write you up. It's, hey, you're going to get charged. So it's bad stuff. So the civilian side, I think that may go to what you're saying. Now, I never worked canine, so I'm only talking about what I've seen.
Yeah.
And I think you're right, though, as far as the military side of having a working dog is you guys train all nonstop. I think the debate is where's that fine balance between that dog being a tool and that dog being a brother or a sister, you know, being your partner. It's your partner. So it's hard when you, like you said, you're switching dogs. You can't, I'm sure you grow attached pretty quick.
Yeah. There's some you might like, you know, more than others.
Right.
I've got a buddy who he was one of my handlers in Korea. And then he went to, I think he was at Langley, and he had a dog, excuse me, who was the ass eater of the kennels.
Oh, just biting everybody.
Yes. So some dogs, you want that aggression. All right.
Right.
You want the dogs to be aggressive, but not overly to where you can't control it or manipulate it.
Okay.
All right.
So explain the different types of dogs, because they're going to be like, why does a drug dog need to be aggressive?
So in the Air Force, we use patrol dogs. Those are dogs that are trained to bite. We use drug dogs and we use bomb dogs. Some bases, I think Guam might be the only one where they have dogs. They're still patrol dogs, but they use those for poachers out there because it's so bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be fun. Special duty poacher patrol.
Exactly, yeah.
Dude, that's got to be so satisfying, too, to catch him.
I couldn't imagine. You see him. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Get him. But we need those dogs that have that ability to bite and hold the bad guy. Because like you said earlier, they're tools, they're assets for us. But like you said, fine line, they're still brothers and sisters with us.
Right.
You know,
It's an American culture.
Yeah, they're our partners.
I love my dog.
So we have to have that ability. Not every bomb dog or drug dog is going to be a patrol dog. All right.
Yeah.
So you might have one that is just detection. Go find the bombs or go find the drugs. You might have some that are just patrol. You know, there's only a few bases that are allowed to have only patrol dogs, because that is not really that's not the important part of the dog. It's their nose,
right?
You know, them to be able to find drugs or bombs.
Yeah.
So they'll push out those dogs that can find that stuff. Where are we going with that?
The different types of dogs.
Yeah.
And then you were talking about how the dogs are utilized in the Air Force aspect compared to civilians, the civilian side.
Yeah. So like you're saying earlier, we train a lot.
Yeah.
Having those dogs, you know, we're not running the same things you guys are doing.
Yeah.
All right. So, you know, yeah, there's drug cases. Yeah, there's assault cases, things like that, but not to the degree that civilian law enforcement are doing stuff.
Right.
You guys are hitting stuff every single day.
Right. Well, you're on a controlled facility. The base is much harder to get into, and it's much harder to get any contraband or anything like that.
Yeah.
And just about anybody that comes onto the base has had an extensive background check done. So, I mean, as it should be. That's our military facilities. So that's what he's talking about. Like the law enforcement side, yes, a base is a small city. Yes, you're doing patrol work. Yes, you're out there writing tickets and handling domestics. It's just
it's few and far between.
Few and far between.
Yeah. The bigger bases might see more action, but the ones that I've been at have been pretty low key.
Yeah.
You know, Keesler wasn't too bad. I heard it was worse back in the day before Katrina hit, when they had a lot of construction and stuff going on. But when I was there, it was pretty quiet.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So when you go overseas now, so we talked about your duties here at the base, but when you go overseas, you know, the only people you know for sure are friendly are the ones that are on the base.
Mm-hmm.
So, and depending on your type of deployment, which is where we were getting to as far as deployments go. So you said there just depends on how people look into it. So food, that would definitely be my number one reason for picking a base overseas. I never deployed, but you have several times. And give us some examples of what cops are looking at when they deploy and what their duties typically are.
So a good deployment, and again, this is subjective. My younger days, to me, a good deployment, I wanted the action.
Right.
I wanted, bullets flying, me trying to engage somebody, things like that. And I'm older, I don't think the same. I've got a family. I had a family then, but I was still, I was selfish. I wanted, the glory of going and actually experiencing stuff.
Right. You wanted to help.
Yeah.
It's a sense of wanting to help. It's not a sense of wanting to go kill.
Yeah. No.
You wanted to go help.
Yeah.
And when you go to war, or if you get deployed, that's what you think as an inexperienced person, that I'm going over there to, jump out of the boat on D-Day. And that's our impression. It's from movies and from family and all that stuff. So I completely understand what you're saying. And I know your heart. You have a good heart. You're not over there wanting to just throw bullets at people.
No.
You're doing it because you're thinking, I'm helping my brothers and sisters
Exactly.
next to me. Yes.
Yeah. So that's the old me. That would have been like, that's the deployment. That's the one you want.
Right.
But now, family man, much older, we'll say a little bit wiser.
I thought you were going to say wider.
Shut up. I hate you. The deployments that people like now are, if you want to call them deployments, you got, I don't want to say specific places, but, if there's a pool, a lot of Air Force bases over there.
I didn't know our Air Force bases had pools.
There's a couple of them. All right. Like Olympic size.
Well, those are for the PJs.
No.
Just trying to make it sound good.
Yeah. Good chow hall. I've been to places where, it's almost like they have like a mall type deal. You walk in, they've got the BX, the food court, a movie theater, stuff like that. Those definitely make deployments easier.
Okay. So as a cop, what are all the job duties you've seen of military police? Because I know going on, like when I was in, the big thing was convoys in prison camps. Those were the big things that we were deploying for. So on your convoys, you were basically working with the Army, and you were clearing paths for whatever movements and stuff there, or just keeping main places so we could connect. So that was what was going on when we were in Montana that I remember. But you kept going. So what other stuff do we do? You think of it, and security forces does it now. I've got friends that have gone out, and have built up bases. Like they're the first security forces members there with the planes. There's no fence around. Like with Red Horse and stuff?
Before Red Horse even gets there. So they're like putting up barbed wire and shit. And then finally Red Horse and everybody will come in after they've like kind of softly secured the area.
Red Horse brags so much in Montana. Now, when we were in Montana, Red Horse was like the unit. And what Red Horse does is they go, and if there's not a base, they go set the base up. And I remember when we were there, every time these dudes come home, it was like the president was flying. Yeah.
Oh my God, Red Horse.
So you're telling me that we would go clear it for Red Horse?
I don't know about always.
But from what you saw,
from what I've seen,
just let me smack Red Horse on here real quick. So.
Yeah. I still remember people would go out and paint that horse. Do you remember that?
Yes.
At Malmstrom?
Yeah. There's this gigantic statue of a horse, and I think it was like rearing or something, and they paint it red every time.
Yep. So that someone painted it pink, and the pink ponies, they called them that. They hated that.
I bet that pissed them.
And then I think I saw it painted as a zebra one time. Oh my God, it was so fucking funny.
Now you would see Red Horse. You always knew a Red Horse member because they wore a red hat in their fatigues. So you got this camouflage, and then some dude wearing red. I'm like,
out of nowhere, you're like, what are you about to go fire on the line?
Yeah, that defeats the purpose. What's going on? Yeah, our guys at the range wear red hats in the Air Force. So I'm sure there's something similar across the board for military. Whether it's Army, Marines, or whatever. So, So anyway, okay, so we go over there. We help. Not only do we search for drugs, search for bombs, we're clearing. We're setting up so we can set up bases, which I would consider pretty dangerous because you've got no protection.
Yeah, everything you see stateside, security forces is going to do over there in the deployed location.
Okay.
Some areas might dictate what you can or can't do with like a SOFA agreement or things like that. Because we're on, some places it's not really an Air Force base. We're just kind of borrowing the land, like a lease from the host nation. We have, our rules and regulations that we have to follow, and then we have to follow stuff that they have in place as well. So it kind of handcuffs you a little bit with some things, but that's just what you got to do.
Yeah.
With that area.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, it's not our place, so
yeah,
I get it. So you go over there. Are you guys? I mean, I know it's probably few and far between, but you may get somebody that gets some sort of PTSD thing, somebody that gets a hold of alcohol or drugs as a military member. I know there's civilians on the bases while you're over there too, correct? And locals, they get on the base. So there's still a law enforcement capacity while you're there, correct? You guys have to make some arrests and stuff like that. Maybe handle detainees from prison, prisoners of war?
That depends on where you're at.
Okay.
In Iraq, they had Camp Bucca was a big one. And you were mixed in sometimes with the Army or with the Air Force, depending on where you're at or when you were there. There was times when it was predominantly an Army base, and there was times where Air Force is in there helping out and kind of taking over things. And then you might go to another base where there's not really any Army, but there's a lot of Air Force, and then you've got maybe some Special Forces guys coming through to, transition to another area. It all depends on where you're at.
Gotcha. So you know how the climate is here in the United States when it comes to police. That's kind of how this podcast got started, was trying to improve that. I have heard, and I know you've heard it too, like people try to make comparisons like the military police treat people better overseas than you guys do here at home and stuff to that effect. They're talking about, that we should model how we police after the military. Now, you've seen both sides. I've seen it, but not nearly in the capacity that you've seen it because you've deployed so many times and you've seen that firsthand. How are people treated as detainees or as people that could possibly be interrogated, arrested, or questioned because you think they're up to something foul overseas versus how people are treated here in the States when we suspect them of a crime?
Really, it depends on where you're at.
Okay, let's say we're in Afghanistan or Iraq, the two major places of war, and you're considered is it behind the wire, over the wire, past the wire?
It's brain fart. Give me a second. Outside the wire.
Outside the wire. Yeah.
I can't speak to Afghanistan. I haven't been there. But in Iraq, the Army were the ones, when we were at Bucca, that were handling the detainee transfers from Bucca to Basra when I was there.
Okay.
They were in charge of the prisoners. Air Force personnel were in charge of convoy security, which is kind of weird because
should have been the other way around.
Yeah, that's how I would think it would be. So here I am. I think I was just a senior airman back then.
E4 Mafia, baby.
Right. Just driving in the vehicles, going from point A to point B, make sure it was safe.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what these detainees were being detained for.
Right.
All right. I just knew these guys were supposedly bad guys. They were in handcuffs. They had, things over their face so they couldn't see. And they go from, wherever they were at Bucca to wherever they're going to ship them out at Basra. I never really saw anything bad, the way that the Army treated them. It was nothing like, what's that one base that got shut down? Abu Ghraib or something like that. Yeah, that was real bad. I never saw anything like that. There's a lot more eyes watching, I think, especially with, dual service, Air Force
Right.
and Army. So they knew not necessarily they couldn't get away with anything. It's not like I didn't think they were up to anything.
Right.
It's just I never saw anything that made me think, all right, let's keep an eye on these guys.
Right.
To me, they were doing what they were supposed to be doing. If we stopped, they made sure the detainees got water and stuff like that. And then, they weren't throwing anybody on their face or anything like that, unless they were doing something, to cause them to get, manhandled, which
Right.
I really didn't see.
Yeah.
So, but stateside with you guys, honestly, it's never going to be perfect. All right. And I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
But the problem now is everybody has a cell phone, and everybody just gets a quick glimpse of something happening after something else has already happened. So the media kind of takes what it wants and, what's the word? They portray it to a way that doesn't fit what really happened.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just, it pisses me off because nobody waits for the evidence to come out. Everyone makes those snap judgments. Oh, he was in the wrong, or this guy was in the wrong, or that guy was innocent. I know he was innocent. When evidence comes out, and you're like, okay, maybe he wasn't innocent.
Right. But do you ever even get to hear the evidence?
No, you don't. Everyone makes those judgments, and then you got the media, repeating it over and over and over again, and then trying to sway the opinion of everybody else watching. You know what I mean? So,
And I would even go to say, I don't know that they're even trying to sway an opinion. They're just trying to inflame enough to get you to watch.
yeah,
I
can see that.
One way or the other. I think whatever is going to get the most views, whether it's a good message, a bad message, however that comes across, it's more of who can I get to watch this? How can I get them to watch this? So they're a business.
Yeah,
I can't say I blame them.
Yeah,
but yeah. There's definitely some recklessness.
You guys are going to get more, I think, the backlash because there's more eyes.
Yeah.
Where the military is operating is, mostly third world countries. Who over there is going to have, oh, let me pull out my, Verizon wireless cell phone. And I've got perfect signal to record this and upload it to YouTube.
I think the point that I was getting to, or that I was trying to steer towards, was over here as an officer, even on the base, you pull someone over and there's all these customs and courtesies all the way through the process. You got your 7-8 point stop, whatever it's up to now. Hi, I'm Officer Snuffy. Reason I pulled you over is this. Do you have your license and insurance? Is there any reason that you were doing this? Da, 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 da. I'll be right with you. And there's a process. But when you're in a war zone, or even close to a war zone, butted up against one, and, you're dealing with not necessarily, I don't want to say the enemy, because, like you said, you don't know what they're there for. They're just in there. But when those people got contact made with them, do you think they were going through all these customs and courtesies that they go through here stateside?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not the way it is here in the States, because certain places that you're at over there, let's say it's already been evacuated, okay, well, every male that's left here is, obviously a combatant.
Right.
They might be deemed a
because
combatant.
they're in that age range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you've got someone in that age range and they're in an area they're not supposed to be, it's already been evacuated, okay, well, he's staying for a reason.
Right.
Grab him. Let's go run him through the interrogator and
See what he's up to.
Yeah.
Now imagine that stateside.
Oh my God.
We just had a riot, and you give out the warning. Anybody left behind, you're subject to arrest. You give out the warning again. Anybody that remains here after this time, you're subject to arrest. And then you give another warning over the loudspeaker. Anybody that remains here after that time. Now imagine if we just went around snatching people up, not saying anything, not doing anything, just snatching them up, taking them, and then going and interrogating them.
I mean, you ask some people, that's what they think everybody's already doing.
Right.
But it's not.
It's not.
Any, common person, smart, semi-smart person is going to know the police are not out there doing that.
Right. Yeah.
So
That's all I was trying to direct it towards, is that narrative that I've heard of, we need to be more like the military police. And that's how, That's two different functions.
No, it is.
It's two different functions. Now, there is a law enforcement side of it, and I'm very thankful for the training and beginning of my law enforcement career from what I received from the Air Force. I think they did a great job getting me started. But like you said, they wear so many different hats because it's a military function. Its law enforcement side is lacking. Its security side is lacking because they can't master them all.
Yeah.
And you can't stay in one spot long enough traditionally to become a master of something. Where at stateside, you've got, not only can you master law enforcement, you can specialize in whatever your heart desires. If you're a narcotics guy, you can specialize in narcotics. I got one guy that I work with. The guy could tell you grams, ounces, all the different measurements and how to, like, he's gone to classes because he was so deep undercover at one point. He had to know the process for making meth.
Oh, wow.
And he could tell you. He's like, yeah, you just need this, that, and this. And the dude's, I mean,
genius with
just
it,
a genius with it. You know, the next Heisenberg. So that to me is, that's incredible. You know what I mean? So, but then I look at the security forces side, and one of the biggest flaws that I see is when you want to be a civilian side cop, you got this extensive background and you got to go through the process to get that. Now, when you go to be in the military, you get an extensive background check, or if you get a top secret clearance or a secret clearance, you get a pretty good background check. But they never ask the question, is law enforcement something you want to do?
The way it seems like is, you know, and I've never been a recruiter. All right. And I don't work for Air Force Personnel Center. Excuse me. So I don't know the ins and outs of it. But from what I've heard from people when they come in, they're like, well, I wanted to be a firefighter, or I wanted to do something with civil engineering.
Right. And you got to test for that.
Well, yeah. So you do your ASVAB, and then based on your skills off of that, they place you in the jobs that they think you're best suited for.
That you qualify for too. Like if you want to go be a linguist and you scored a 20 on your test,
you ain't gonna be no linguist.
You're not gonna be a linguist. You could be great with languages, but if you scored like crap on your ASVAB,
you're screwed.
You're screwed.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, security forces is one of the lower test scores. I think 35 for a chef, and then their food services, and then it's like a 40 for security forces, or somewhere in there.
Yeah. Which is crazy because,
and it only goes up to 99.
Yeah. We have the most, honestly, the most interaction with people, I think, in the military.
Yeah.
You know, who else is interacting the way that we are?
Yeah. You're in every aspect of the base, as you should be.
Yeah. So I think there definitely needs to be some recalibration on who really is qualified to be security forces.
I think one of the first things that they should do is this a spot you're trying to get to? Because if I were to tell the folks out there now, like, hey, this guy that couldn't quite cut it as, a bus driver for Greyhound, we think we're going to hire him for the police department. He doesn't want to work for us, but he's looking for a job.
Yeah.
And we're going to put him in there. It doesn't work. You need somebody that wants to, first and foremost, wants to do that side of it. And
that happens more times than not. People will fail out of
another
job,
another career field.
Yeah. And they're like, well, we're going to retrain you.
Yep.
Have fun in security forces.
So what that means to the non-military people, I feel like I'm talking down to people like they're dumb. That's not my intentions. I'm just trying to elaborate a little bit further. If you go into the military and you're like, I'm going to be a dental hygienist, and you score high enough, you become a dental hygienist, and through your training, you fail out. You don't cut it. The military ain't getting rid of you. They've already invested time and effort and money into you, so they're going to push you into another career field that you had no desire to do because they're going to get the 4 years, 6 years, whatever you signed up for. They're going to get it out of you. Now, imagine that getting put into a law enforcement capacity, somebody that's got the authority to carry a weapon and take your freedom. And that happens in security forces. You're in guard mount, and you're looking over at 7 dudes that have no desire to do this job. Not because they're lazy, but because
it's not a passion.
There's no passion.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that needs to be addressed and adjusted with with the military as far as that goes. It's not a terrible thing. There's worse problems to have.
Yeah.
But we're in the business of being the best of what we can be. And if we want to start being the best, then quit looking at numbers and trying to hit numbers, and let's start looking at quality in certain things. I think that's an easy fix.
You would think.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of red tape.
Yeah.
I understand that part. But if I'm going to start formatting things and trying to make a career field, and like you said, to me, that's the roots of any base is security forces, because you're in every aspect of that base. Let's start cleaning it up just by getting the people that want to be there. And I'm a little utopias, I get it, but it's just an opinion, perspective. Doesn't mean I'm right. I could be completely wrong. Strategic wise, there's those strategists out there that, it's the military, let's face it. So could be a strategist out there that's like, although that's not a bad sentiment strategically for the United States Air Force or the United States military, that's not optimal for our mission.
Yeah.
So if it's not optimal for the mission, okay, my bad. But my passion is this career field. So I'm trying to improve the career field. That's all. So
I got you.
Okay. All right, brother. I get that. So let's move on. K9. You did K9. You got deployed. And you were K9 for how many years?
Let's see. I graduated K9 school in December of 2010, and I think I was finally pushed out of the kennels in 2019.
Okay, so about 9 years in K9.
Yeah.
Now, you said pushed out.
Yeah.
Now explain, because I know exactly what you mean. Everybody that does K9, almost everybody loves it, falls in love with it. And I was one of those that tried to get in, so I understand the drive. So you get in, you love your job. If you promote and try to better your career, you lose that career field. You lose doing what you love.
Yes.
That sucks.
It does.
So how many guys out of 10 dudes, how many typically say, I got my dog, but I'm due to promote and I'm going to take the test and I'm going to do really well and promote out?
How many like to do that?
Out of 10. Let's say you got 10 guys.
That's 1 to 2, maybe.
Okay, so 1 or 2 out of 10. That's how good that career field is for those that are in it.
Everyone else, they will dodge promotions. Not always, but for the first few years.
Yeah.
So when I went K9, I think I dodged making tech like 3 times in a row.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to.
So explain to people the ranking system in the military, both enlisted and officer, and how many it goes through.
So enlisted for Air Force, E1 through E3, Airman Basic, Airman A1C, then E4 is Senior Airman, E5 Staff Sergeant, E6 Tech Sergeant, E7 Master, E8 Senior Master, and then E9 Chief.
Okay, so that's the enlisted side. That's what the E stands for, enlisted.
Yep.
And then the numbers is your pay.
Yep.
Pay scale, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
1 through 9.
1 through 9.
So officer side, you've got 01 through, I think it was like 010, but you really don't see many 010s. It's like a 5-star general.
Okay.
So 01, second lieutenant, 02, first lieutenant, 03, captain, and it goes major, lieutenant colonel, brigadier general, major general, lieutenant general, and then general.
Okay. So enlisted don't make near the money that the officers make, correct?
Nope.
So to be an officer, you have to have a 4-year degree.
Yep.
Starting.
Yep.
And then on the enlisted side, E9 is the highest you can get. And like you said, on the O side, on the officer side, that's your 5-star generals, but that's a unicorn position.
Yeah, that's usually those only get doled out. I think it's in a time of war. I think I couldn't even tell you the last one. Eisenhower.
Haven't we been in a time of war since like 2001?
You would think, but I haven't seen a 5-star general in a while. There might have been one, but
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not my wheelhouse.
So you got this ranking system through K9. You were a staff sergeant starting.
Yep.
So you're a staff sergeant, and you get kicked out if you get past staff sergeant, right? No.
So
okay.
You can start K9 in the Air Force as a senior airman. Senior airmen staffs usually are the handlers. You might have some trainers that are staff sergeants. You might have some trainers that are tech sergeants. But usually once you reach that tech level, you're the kennel master or one of the trainers. Some bases, like a joint base, like where's it?
Lackland?
No, I think Hickam might have a master sergeant down there. I think a time or two they had a master at Korea.
Okay.
The bigger bases, with a lot more dogs. But for the most part, tech, once you reach E6, if you don't make kennel master, then you're gone.
Okay.
So it really depends on where you're at, what base you're at.
Gotcha.
So
okay. So you promote out finally. Okay.
Well, no, I made tech and I got put in the kennel master position.
Okay.
So I made tech in 2017 and I was a kennel master for about 2 years with tech on.
Okay. So as a kennel master, you don't have a dog.
No. As a trainer, you usually don't have a dog unless there's not enough handlers.
Okay.
But once you make trainer, kennel master, you should not.
So what's the duties of a kennel master?
So your job is to take care of the admin, make sure the trainer is doing his job to train the dog teams, make sure each team is validated.
Okay.
Go through a certain number of tests and trials to make sure they're good for deploying.
Okay.
Right? Or they're good for probable cause, because that's what you're going to use these dogs for, especially the drug dogs.
Yeah.
You're going to use them for probable cause to find drugs.
Yeah.
Bomb dogs, you need to make sure they're proficient at their job, or the teams, make sure they're proficient, to find bombs, not where the bomb is, but there's a bomb in this area because you don't want the team to get blown up.
Right.
So it's a lot of responsibility. The bigger bases or the bases where there's more dogs, it's even crazier.
Okay.
So
your law enforcement side kind of goes away.
Oh yeah, you're pretty much back office. You are sitting behind a desk, making sure all the files and everything are good to go.
Gotcha. So you're back there. Look at me.
Yep.
King of the castle.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's really no law enforcement when you're doing that.
Yeah.
You have, not that you don't have time, but your focus is on making sure these assets, these teams,
right,
are good to perform.
Gotcha.
So
yeah, and your performance is based on their performance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's the checks and balances that I was talking about that I think our civilian side doesn't quite have as well, because no one's out there. Nobody's out there blowing us up. Not yet, anyway. Please don't. Pretty close to the cartels in the state of Texas. So, nobody's out there blowing us up. So the worst thing that happens is the dog misses on some dope, or you got a bite dog and he releases or he doesn't engage. So that's on that officer. It doesn't really affect anybody else.
No.
It can, and I don't want a canine guy out there to hear me. What are you talking about, bro? You could be out there and the dog could be saving your ass. I get. Listen, generalizing, guys. Leave me alone. So, but for y'all, it makes a big difference, because the dog missing something could take out a whole platoon, take out a whole flight in the Air Force. We call them flights. I still don't like that. I mean, I know we're Air Force, but a flight sounds so dumb. I don't like that. Anyway, I like platoon. So, yeah, your responsibility load at that level, in my opinion, that's a big one.
Yeah.
For anybody in our career field, you got our stateside. They're not, I don't know what you call them, flight chief or whatever. You got to make sure your guys are squared away to go out and do patrol or go out and guard planes and stuff like that. But the statistical likelihood of anything being missed or happening for those guys, a lot lower.
Yeah.
You guys got to go find bombs, and people try to bring bombs into bases, especially if they're up to no good. So that's stateside and that's overseas. So to me, like you said, I think that's an understated and undervalued position from what I've seen, because you can save the ass of so many more people with one well-trained dog. or one well-trained team. So the training aspect, like you were saying,
It's huge. Yeah.
is huge. So that's a good point. I like that. Okay, so kennel master, you're leading your shit. You're doing what you're supposed to do, kicking ass, taking names. Then what happens with you?
So if you rank out, all right, you make tech, and they're like, okay, well, we don't want a tech back there. More times than not, you're going to go back to being just a regular straight leg, is what we call them.
A straight leg.
Yep.
Okay. See, I've been out of the career field
Yeah.
so long for active duty. You don't even know what the hell that is. They
So-
call me a weekend warrior. So
Yeah, same thing.
yeah, part-timer.
Sure. So we call it straight legs because with your dog, you look down, you got like a hump attached to your leg. That dog is there. The dog is there.
Okay.
Straight legs, you look down, they got nothing.
No dog.
Yeah, nothing with them.
It's kind of sad to think
know.
about. Like, it makes me depressed. I'm
It's
not a
very
handler.
sad, yeah. So you go back to being a straight leg.
Okay.
All right? Regular security forces member, at the mercy of wherever they need you.
Gotcha.
You might be a flight chief. You might be a flight sergeant, depending on what base you're at. They might put you in a completely different job that you never done before. It really just depends on the needs that are at that base.
Gotcha.
So
It's a numbers game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we talked about that. Okay. That's a big difference in our side of the house too. Typically, at least in the departments I've worked, unless you screw up or there's already a dictated time limit, like, you're in the narcotics group and you can only do 5 years in narcotics and you got to move on. Any specialized units, you got to do a certain time. The department I work in currently, there isn't a time limit. You can be a specialist for as long as you want. So goods and bads to that. But for you guys, like, it's a guarantee.
Yeah.
It's a guarantee. Like,
Yeah. Because there's always going to be someone behind you.
Yeah.
Not necessarily chasing you, but people promote every year.
Yeah.
There's going to be more staff sergeants, more tech sergeants, more master sergeants. Progression is just natural.
Yep.
So you can try to stay in that position as long as you want, but again, numbers game. Or you might get a chief that's like, oh, well, you need career progression. You're like, well, I don't care about career progression. I want to stay in the kennels. This is my passion. Well, sorry, you're going elsewhere.
Yeah. Again, another major, to me, in my perspective, another major downfall of a career. I just want passion. Now, I will tell you that when I was a trainer, when I was becoming a trainer, I was like, that's what I want to do. That's all I want to do. But I also made a promise to myself that I was going to continue to progress in my career, no matter how much fun I was having. Now, I did my time as a trainer. I did 3 years of training, and I loved it. The whole time, I loved it. And when I was getting out, I was a little sad. You talk to me, fast forward 2 years, where I'm at now, I wouldn't go back. I got a new love. I love what I do now. So I get the point of what you're saying for career progression, because it opens you up to things you hadn't considered. But I want the choice.
Yeah.
I made that choice. I told myself, I made a deal with myself, and I stuck to it. And I'm glad I did. So
With that though, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Because at the time, was I upset? Yeah. I knew it was time for me to leave the kennels because my number two, John Royce, this dude, one of the smartest guys I've ever met.
who does number 2 work for?
You're stupid. He
Hold on. This is part of our game. What movie?
Come on, man.
What movie?
Austin Powers.
Damn it.
All right. You're not going to get me with that. All right. So I knew that John wasn't going to promote or get that progression with me still staying in the kennel master position.
So you were holding him back.
Yes. So that dude helped me run those kennels like nobody's business. He already knew everything because he had been a kennel master before. He just wasn't a tech yet.
So he was doing the job as a lower rank.
Yeah, which sometimes it happens.
Right.
So when I
did that at confinement.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you were good there. So when I made tech and he didn't, they were like, well, you're going to be kennel master. He's going to be trainer. And I'm like, okay, well, the stuff that I don't know, I know he's going to help me out with.
Yeah.
And he did. So
Nice.
it was a lot of, me holding his hand and him kind of leading me, even though I outranked him, that I still looked up to that dude. I mean, he was like 6'3", 6'4", but super smart guy. If I didn't know something, I knew he knew it.
Right.
All right. He was someone I could lean on no matter what was going on.
Gotcha.
So I was like, all right, he needs to be the kennel master. It's time for him to do it.
Okay.
So the timing of it kind of worked out because this was in England. I played rugby over there, and I got injured playing rugby, so I'd have surgery on my neck. And when I was coming off of my, downtime from the surgery, they were like, okay, well, when you're healed up, John's going to take over. You're going to go to a different job. So it just kind of it worked out, in the right time for
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, so you bump out of kennels, and now where's your law enforcement from there?
Yeah, even there. So because I had my neck surgery, I still couldn't arm up.
Okay.
So
you couldn't have a weapon.
Yeah,
because you're injured.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So again, numbers game. Where does this piece of the puzzle fit? They put me at the search pit in England, which massive operation between airmen, NCOs, and the British employees we had out there. It was, like a 30-man operation.
Okay.
So they stuck me out there, took over, learned a lot out there, not just from, the British employees that we had, which were awesome, but from the airmen.
Yeah.
So that was an aspect of my career that I was missing.
Okay.
So being canine, almost every kennel that I was a part of, we had predominantly NCOs. You might get one or two airmen in there, but they're about to make staff sergeant.
So an NCO is a non-commissioned officer, and that's when they start playing the role of a supervisor.
Yep.
Correct? Okay.
So there wasn't really a lot of leading in the Air Force's eyes as a kennel master / trainer. There was in the canine career field, but not to the extent that I got being out at the search pit.
Okay.
So there's so many more airmen.
So they were looking at it from you need to learn a bigger role for leadership.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, which completely fine with that. I learned a ton. Again, I had people there that I could really count on. I had one NCO, this guy, super smart, super funny, but if you didn't know his sense of humor, you would think that he was just like a stoner.
Okay.
Josh Minton, if you're listening, I love you.
Was he like a Jim Brewer?
Yes, kind of. Yeah.
Cheech and Chong?
Yeah. So just real good dude, super smart. But because he kind of had that persona of, people didn't take the time to understand him, I feel like he got a bad rap out of the squadron. And it pissed me off because people didn't see
what you saw as a leader,
how hard this dude worked.
Yeah.
All right. You'd see other people that would get recognized and you're like, this dude is working 10 times harder than these people. But yeah, I talk to him every now and then. He's I think I'm bowling now on the East Coast, doing way better than he was doing in England. So I know he just needed
a change of venue.
Real good dude.
Okay.
Real good dude.
Cool. All right. So you do the search pit in Brit, and now you moved to Texas.
Yep.
From there.
Yep.
Dyess Air Force Base, which was a big feather in my cap because my homie just moved closer to me.
Yep.
You're what, an hour and a half, 2 hours away?
Yep.
Is that about what it is? Yeah. We've seen each other 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome. So for me, I'm super happy.
So much better than, I think it was like, once every 4 or 5 years, something like that.
Yeah. So now that you're there, you're running a patrol team, basically,
pretty much,
like a law enforcement.
Yep.
Flight.
They're your favorite word.
Yeah, they're out there in patrol cars, and they're doing the law enforcement aspect of the base. So, you got, how big's your base? How big you think it is, square mileage wise, roughly?
Yeah,
couldn't even.
I'm horrible with this. It's not a very big base.
Okay,
I'll say that.
Is it a small city? Does it have housing on the base?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm talking about with housing, and basically you have a community of people that live there that are military, and your law enforcement aspect is getting domestics, catching shoplifters, which is typically some person's kid on the base, stuff like that. Or like you recently dealt with, meth heads climbing the fence to the base and sneaking on, which he didn't really sneak on. You guys saw him the whole time.
I mean, he snuck.
Because it's a military base. But yeah, he snuck on the base. Yeah. And you got to hook him up. You arrested him and took care of business and took care of him medically at the same time. And I saw, or well, I didn't see, but you told me the scenario, and I can tell you that the way that him and his team handled it is the same way that we handle when we have to arrest somebody that's having a drug episode. It can be a little confusing, especially if you don't deal with it a lot.
Yeah.
And you think, is this guy having a mental issue or is he high?
Yeah.
Like, is this weird balance, especially if you don't see it that often? Like, is he schizophrenic? Is he high on meth? What is it? You know, if you don't see that a lot on the base, because
you're not going to know. Yeah.
You're not going to know. But you guys handled it the right way. You knew he wasn't supposed to be there. You got him in cuffs. You searched him, but then you got him medical attention as soon as you figured out he was not a danger. So I think in law enforcement, that's what I see. I've seen that quite a bit, especially with the mental health training that we've been getting. Excited delirium, people, what is it? CIT, what does that stand for? I'm trying, crisis intervention team. So we have one of the departments that I'm very familiar with. They have a CIT and a crisis intervention team. So you get a naked guy call or somebody acting erratic or whatever it is, and CIT, their whole job is to monitor the entire city, and they go assist officers like you and I out there, and they're the talkers. They're I recognize this, you know. We've got the training too, but they've got the extensive training, and that's all they specialize in. So are they doing something like that? I mean, is there a need for it yet on a base? Because I think of PTSD, TBIs, things of that nature.
I'm sure they have things like that at some bases. You know, we've got people that are super experienced at ours that we would kind of make them the point man with certain situations.
Right.
But as far as
specialties,
specialized teams, I don't think we have something like that there. Probably because, you know, our scope of stuff that we deal with is so small. You know, could we deal with it? Yeah. When are we going to deal with it though?
Right.
You know, it's not all the time.
I would think the argument could be made that because that's such a volatile thing with military, with post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury. I talked to a legendary man today. I'll call him B-Dubs, and you met him, and he's the first person that ever kind of opened my mind up when it comes to if there's a position and a need, the person that can make it is you. So that may be a position the Air Force doesn't realize they need yet.
Could be.
And I would rather have a person that knows the tactics and knows the law enforcement side out there trying to talk people down that may be having a PTSD moment, or somebody that can recognize it better because they're specially trained. And you may start something new for the Air Force. I'm just saying. Yeah. What do you think?
It definitely could happen. The drive for, you know, mental health is there. I've seen a lot of people post about it. I think last month was Mental Health Awareness Month. I think something like that. I kept seeing people post about it. I've got friends that have dealt with it.
We've lost a lot of security forces guys.
Yeah.
A lot of suicides.
Yep. Which is crazy to think of.
Yeah.
I just saw on Facebook today, there's a girl I was stationed with in Korea. I don't know where she's at now. But she had the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force come out to her base, and she was briefing her on how I think she's starting up something like that at her base, you know, the push for, you know, mental health checks and things like that. And she got coined by her for the stuff that she's pushing for. So
okay. So what's being coined?
So challenge coins is what some people call them.
Okay.
You know, you get a coin from someone higher ranking. You know, it could be, you know, a chief, or it could be an officer position. You know, I've seen, you know, not a lot, but some lieutenants might come out with a coin. Hey, here's a coin for you. Which,
do you remember when we made the senior airman coins at Maelstrom?
Oh my God, those are so bad.
Did a good job.
It was so long ago. But you know, you get a coin from someone for doing something, you know, outstanding.
Yeah.
All right. It's a way to, you know, separate you from the other people you work with. And it's like a thank you from, you know, the leaders. Say, hey, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Or you're doing stuff that no one's doing.
Yeah.
But I appreciate what
it's a
you're
recognition
doing.
towards your position without getting some official paper.
Yeah.
Which to guys like you and me is more valuable. I would much rather get a coin than get a piece of paper.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
I mean, you've got some people that just chase coins. That's all they want.
Right.
And then you've got other people that, you know, they just kind of miss it. They don't get, look at all those damn things. Some people that, you know, don't get coined a lot, but should, you know, sometimes it's right place, right time.
Yep.
You know,
that's the job of the leaders to recognize their troops.
It is.
And make sure those guys get them.
It is.
This is a quick shout out to my sergeant. Like traditionally, I'm not somebody that's been awarded a lot. And this guy, the sergeant I'm working for right now, he's like looking out for me in a way that I never really considered for myself. And only because he's the same way. He was the same way. He didn't have anybody, and then he got somebody that got him hooked up with a really sweet, like meaningful award, you know, because I take a lot of pride in my work and I love what I do. But he's doing that for me now, and 17 years into a career, it's weird. Yeah, because I'm not it's just like when I ask for sponsors from, like, I feel like if I'm trying to get an award.
Yeah. You're not a glory hound. You're not
so cringy. Yeah. That's my new word. The kids are all saying it.
I know.
Cringy.
I would rather put someone else in.
Yes.
Than me go up for it.
Oh, for sure.
So it's, because especially right now with the position that I'm in, the airmen, you know, and the staff sergeants below me, they're the ones that are jobbing it. You know, I'm out there with them, but they're the ones that are really making sure the base is running the way it's supposed to be. I'm there to make sure they're doing their job. Yeah. They're the ones doing the job. Yep. So to me, it's easier to put them in than it is to put myself in for stuff. Right. So,
okay. So we got distracted. She got coined, mental health. So, where were we going with that? Creating your own position and stuff like that. So yeah, dude, you know, I'm always trying to give you ideas to progress your career because you got another 4 or 5 years left. So that's where you're currently at, right? You're working law enforcement in Texas at Dias and training the future people to take your spot eventually. So that's awesome. You've got 4, maybe 5 years left. All right. I don't know who's out there listening, but I'm trying to convince this guy to switch over to the reserves, preferably the IMA reserves, which I do. He could finish his timeout, guys. He can still retire. He'll get that retirement. But this guy, 1, he's a leader. 2, he served his country for 15 plus years, and he's going to do his 20 one way or the other. But let's get him into his passion. Let's get him into the civilian side of law enforcement. I would really love for him to come to where I'm at, but it may not be in his wheelhouse. But if you're out there and you want to recruit this guy, it's hard when you're friends to recruit somebody because you just want your friend to be there. But people that don't know him, get on the website, get on our Facebook page, get on our Instagram, Twitter, whatever you got. Reach out to Jeremy Hayes. He will see it, I promise you, because if he doesn't, I will tag him and let him know what he's missing out here. He served his country well. He's going to finish that out, but let's get him hooked up. Let's get him taken care of when he gets out. Got to take care of our heroes, man. So, okay. So you're here. What's 4 or 5 more years? Where do you see the rest of it going?
Honestly, I could stay at Dias the entire time
and finish it out. Okay.
So I know a lot of people that have been there for 5, 6, 7 years.
Okay.
It could easily happen.
Okay.
If I make the next rank, I could see them maybe
trying to make a move.
Yeah. Well, not me personally, but the Air Force saying, okay, you just made rank there. Let's push you somewhere else.
Okay.
Stateside bases, they're trying to make it, that they're trying to make it so that you don't stay at a base for too long.
Right.
The overseas bases, you can only be there for
a year or two.
It depends on where you're at. So, and if you're married, single, a year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, depends on where you're at. But usually like 4 years. Stateside bases, some places it's a black hole.
Okay.
You might be there 10 years.
All right.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere unless I'm going to retire anywhere for 10 years because I'd miss out on seeing stuff.
Okay.
So I know my wife wouldn't want to stay in Abilene.
In Abilene
for another 4+ years.
Yeah.
But she just misses England.
That's
all
it
is.
Okay. All right. So we know the benefits of when we got in and did the service. Like, I'm very glad I did what I did. It was a happy accident. That's the way I tell people. It was a happy accident. I didn't do my research going in. I just knew I wanted to finish college.
Let's do it.
So I was like, I'm going to do this. So tell me if you would agree. I want to put this out there while it's on my mind. For anybody out there that's thinking about getting into a law enforcement career, and you're not old enough yet, you're just graduating high school, and you want to get some experience, but you don't want to waste your time. Maybe college isn't for you. Maybe it is for you. You can still go to college. One of the major benefits that I try to push when I'm not recruiting people, but when I want people to think about the path I took on accident is you're getting out of high school. You got this filler time, but you don't necessarily know if you're going to go to college. If you go into the military, and I'm just going to use the Air Force as the example. You go in the Air Force. You sign up to be a cop because that's what you want to do, right? Now you're going to get trained to be one. You're going to get 4 years of on-the-job experience. You're not necessarily, this is the downfall, you're not necessarily going to go out there and be in a patrol car.
Yeah, probably not.
But you're going to get trained.
Yeah.
And you're going to know and understand use of force, have arrest authority, and you can get there. You drive, you can get there.
Yeah.
You may get stuck watching a plane. I'm sorry. That may be how you start your career, and I want that reality to be out there.
It's temporary, though.
But it's temporary. And if you have the drive and the determination, you're going to get where you need to get to start getting the experience you want. Meanwhile, while you're in, you can go to college for free. As long as you don't get too picky. If you like, well, I want to go to Harvard or whatever the hell it is you want to go to, well, you're going to have to wait till you get out. And then you're going to pay for it with your GI Bill and whatever else money you got. But while you're in, if you don't get too crazy with your student loans or whatever it is, it'll get paid for. You get an allowance towards college for the year. I think it's what?
$4,500.
$4,500 towards college. And then you get a stipend for books. Or did they get rid of that?
They don't have that. So the school, depending on what school you go to, they might give you an allotment.
Okay.
Also, some schools are starting to do it now where, what the Air Force will pay up to $4,500 a year, and the credit hour I think can't be more than $250.
Okay.
So one class should cost you $750.
Gotcha.
Most schools are, if they have a higher credit hour, will lower
the cost.
Cost to match what the military will pay. Because one, they want that money.
Right.
2, they want people to go get their degree from their school.
Gotcha.
So,
and they want to help the military.
Yeah, there's plenty of schools out there that will do that.
Yes. Park University.
Stupid. Liberty. What's up?
Not gonna pay it. That's expensive.
But with tuition assistance, I didn't have to pay for it.
Oh, okay.
So
Liberty was covered while you were doing tuition assistance.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
They matched it all.
Okay.
So, additionally, a lot of people don't know this. If you're married, I think if you're single, you probably won't qualify. But if you're married and you have kids, apply for FAFSA.
FAFSA,
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So when I was doing it, I applied for it. I got the federal Pell Grant, all right, to go to school. All right. I was getting A's and B's in my classes. Depending on how many classes I took would depend on how much money I got for the Pell Grant.
Okay.
Now, because there's a cap on tuition assistance each year, when I was pushing hard to finish my bachelor's, I was running out of tuition assistance for the year. So what's 750?
Don't ask me to math.
Yeah. You jerk.
Yeah.
So let's see. 2 classes is what, 1,500. So what was that, 4, 5 classes? Somewhere around there.
Okay.
5, I don't know.
Anyway.
It's a couple.
Numbers.
Math is not my major. Okay.
That's why we're cops.
Yeah. So I was running out of money to pay for classes.
Okay.
So because I got that Pell Grant, I was able to finish my degree with the extra money I was getting.
Nice.
Before I left Korea.
Okay.
So
cool.
It was huge milestone. I mean, anybody completing, a bachelor's degree is huge.
Right. But doing it while you're in service.
Yeah.
Active duty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Took me, I graduated high school in 2002, got my bachelor's in 2016. What did I say? A lot of people go to school for 7 years. They're
8
probably
years.
doctors.
Doctors, yeah. Not this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so back to my point of you want to be a cop and you're not sure what to do with your life in between the time that you want to do it from 18 to when you're 21, because 21 is the start for police work everywhere that I know of. So you jump into the service, you get that experience. As long as you keep your nose to the ground, you can do what you're trying to get to. And then you can get your degree while you're in. Now, while you're there, you're getting a brotherhood. It's awesome.
Yep.
You're learning to be more dependent a lot faster than you probably intended.
Yep.
And you grow up pretty quick. You get leadership skills. There's more than just you getting, your policing skills, but there's this whole other aspect, rank and file and all this stuff. You don't have your parents there telling you to make a bed, and you learn to adult real quick. And I know that sounds shitty as an 18-year-old, because I remember and thinking like, I do what I want, but I didn't join at 18 either. I joined at 24, I think 23 or 24. So
22.
Yeah. So anyway, that was an amazing accident in my life, because I did that. And then when I got out with a degree that was paid for, I didn't touch it. I still had the whole GI Bill to use, which when I went to a police academy, when I got out, I got that GI Bill money to go towards that. So not only do you get paid by your academy, you also get paid from your GI Bill. And you're getting housing allowance, and that really helps you out, because cost of living sucks when you're a recruit. So on top of that, once you get done with the academy, you're still going to have plenty of GI Bill money left to get your master's degree if you feel like it, which is what I ended up doing. I used my GI Bill for my master's rather than for my bachelor's, which a lot of y'all out there think, oh, I'll just go for my degree once I get out of the military. 3/4 of you knuckleheads don't do it. Trust me, that's from experience. Do that shit while you're in. One class at a time if you have to. Pick away at it. How many people did I get in school while we were in there?
Countless.
Yeah, like 30 to 40 people I remember I got started in school.
Yeah. I think I would finish my bachelor's, 7, 8 years earlier?
Yeah.
If I would have listened to you more.
Right.
But got it done.
Yeah, so it's a... I lost my train of thought on that. You go in and you clip away at these classes, and it's worth it. That part's worth it. Get your degree while you're in. And if you're a cop and you get your degree, more than likely you're going to get it in some sort of law enforcement capacity, so it's easier. And I'm not saying that the courses are easier necessarily. It's just it's in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, stuff you're learning about, you're using on the job, things like that.
You get out of your wheelhouse. So now, let's say you decide, all right, I got my degree. Did my 4 or 6 years, whatever I signed up for, 2 years or some 2-year enlistments. And you get out and you use that use that GI Bill for your academy and whatnot. You go to buy a house. You get the VA loan. No down payment on a house. You don't have to save up.
Yep, low interest rates.
Yeah, very low interest rates. If you decide to stay in the reserves, once you get out, like I did, my insurance is so cheap. my health insurance, compared to what I'd be paying for the city that I work for. And I'm talking like $600 difference.
That's huge.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's a big car payment.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I save that just by staying in the reserves. And my Disney trips are cheaper when I take the kids to Disney. So there's all these hidden benefits that you just don't know about when you get into this stuff. And I say this with love. I used the military as much as they used me.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I tell people that all the time. I was like, get your money out of the Air Force.
Yes.
Because it's going to get its money out of you.
Yes, 100%. Absolutely.
And people don't pay attention to that. So you've got some airmen, that'll come to a base and they're disgruntled. They're like, I don't want to fucking be here. And you got kids in England saying this. I'm like, you're in England. All right. The drinking age is 18 here. You're allowed to drink.
All right.
You can't do that in America. All right. You have people here that you could be lifelong friends with. All right, man. 15 years going on you and me. All right. So don't worry about, the shitty day you're going to have at work guarding, sitting at the gate. All right. Everybody goes through that. All right. I hate the gate. Okay. It's temporary.
Yeah.
You're going to be at the gate for 2, maybe 3 years, or you'll cycle between that to the flight line.
And even if you hate it, why make it the bane of your existence?
Yeah. You've got so much other stuff that you can do there. I've got friends
you control your mindset.
Oh, yeah. I got friends that, they would go there. They made the best of their experience there. All right. Days or weekends off, they'd go to mainland Europe. All right. Before COVID, they would travel. They'd go to all these different countries over there, especially when you're an airman.
Yeah.
You have, no wife, no kids, or no husband. You're there, I don't say uninhibited, but you have a freedom that you would not have stuck in your hometown.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
You have the ability to get out.
Would you have ever gotten to England without it? You
know
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
England, Korea, Iraq,
Yeah.
Qatar.
I could do personally without ever visiting Iraq.
It was amazing when I was there. I got to, see and do things that nobody else got to do. We went into a farmer's house that was kind of, the farmers in the area that we were at, really ran the region, and we would bring them stuff that they needed. So like, I think one guy needed a generator for his place. So we were able to get a generator, bring it to him so that he could do whatever he needed to do with it. But because we would help them out, the local populace, community policing, they were making sure that there weren't no damn IEDs on the road when we're driving up and down.
Right.
We'd go into this guy's house, and you would think, some people have, a rich house, or some people have a poor house. You walk into this guy's house, it's a hut. He has these beautiful carpets on the floor with pillows lining the wall. And we walk in, we sit down, and he brings us chai tea, which is like a huge deal over there.
Yeah.
And you're thinking to yourself, like, here I am in this guy's, awful house. There's nothing in here. He's got a TV in the corner with rabbit ears and aluminum foil on it so he can watch a soccer game.
Right.
And you're like, what are we doing here? And then it clicks, like, you're here and you're only really alive because this guy is helping you.
Yeah.
He's making sure no one's going up and down the roadside and putting shit because you're doing that community policing. You're helping him.
Right. Hearts and minds.
Yeah. And who else, who gets to do that?
Right.
You going to do that in your hometown? I mean, maybe in Flint. Do something like that.
Sounds a lot like Flint. Not so much the tea aspect.
Yeah.
But, come on, Flint. I love you guys.
Mad dog.
But yeah. So I'm glad you brought that point up, because it shows that it's not just police here, it's policing even over there. And I've explained this before in the show that us versus them mentality is part of the problem when it comes to policing, whether it's overseas or whatever. We got to break down barriers and bridge gaps and open up channels of communication. That's the point of this damn show. And you learn that over there working with the locals. And if you can do that in a place that you can't speak the language, I think what we're saying to each other doesn't matter as much as what we're doing.
Yeah.
Actions.
And I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it because over there, it is an us versus them because that's not our culture. You know what I mean? Whereas here, you know, you're a police officer, but you are a police officer in this community. You're a part of this community.
Yes.
Whether you're a police officer or not, you're a part of this community.
Yes.
You know, we were no way, shape, or form a part of that community.
Right.
We're inserted, and then we're told to, hey, go win these hearts and minds.
Right.
You know, whereas here, you don't want to see anything bad happen to your community.
No.
You know, I know you don't want to kill anybody.
Right.
You know, and I think it's the stigma that people think that that's all cops want to do is shoot people.
Right.
Nobody in their right mind wants to shoot anybody or kill anybody. They want to go home at night, sleep with their family, and wake up the next day, have a good day.
Yeah.
And it's like I said earlier, I think the media is just pushing, and pushing. You know, and you got these people that, you know, think that, you know, if I can, you know, fan the fuels or fan the fire a little bit, you know, create some controversy, you know, that's really what is going to drive,
Yeah.
you know,
And
this machine.
I'm hoping with this, it grows. I like to surround myself with positive people. And I think I'm proving that just on this alone. All the people I bring in here are like-minded people like me. And that's what I try to surround myself with at work. You know, you're talking about the airmen on the gates that hate their job. And I think it's my job as a leader to take that person aside and say, look, you have it in your mind that this is bad. And you put it there. Whether, you know, outside factors help generate that idea, because if you got a bunch of negative people around you, it's like a cancer.
Yeah.
But if you start surrounding yourself by nothing but positive people, you get this type of result, in my opinion. So, my recommendation to people out there that keep catching themselves in that negative funk, and you can say I'm idealistic or whatever it is, I will tell you I'm a glass half full guy and I'm an optimist by heart. That's just me. I try to see the best in everything.
Same.
And even if it sucks, I'll tell you, oh my God, this sucks. But you know what? At least I've got a glass of whiskey, or at least, you know, I'm with a friend of 15 years, whatever it is. That's where my mindset goes. I'm always trying to flip it to how can I make this better? Not how is this going to suck?
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you're hearing this, you have the power to change your mind. And if you tell me you don't, well, maybe that's some self-reflection. Why don't you have that possibility? Is there something deeper that needs to be addressed? So it's important to think that way when you're trying to do this community policing stuff. And I have seen the fruits of this, which is the point of the show, is to prove that this is a tool that's underutilized. And by using this social media aspect to reach out to people and give them perspective and give them education in all aspects of frontline people. We've got a military member who's frontline. He's also a police officer. He deals with our citizens here stateside as well, whether they're military members or civilian employees on a base. So you're doing the same thing I'm doing in a different capacity, but you're still doing the same thing I'm doing. And it takes all of us to keep that perception of these types of career fields, whether it's nursing, teaching, fire, whatever. It's our job to keep it optimistic and keep it going in a good direction. There's going to be negative stuff, which sucks, but I would rather squash any negative thing that's out there with positive. So rather than turn things negative. And I don't know. So I think it's a good spot to end. Yeah. You got anything else? You got any shout outs?
Not shout outs, but something. So you said bring like-minded people on.
Yeah.
Maybe down the road, bring on someone who doesn't share the same.
Yes. What I meant by that, I mean positive people. We could disagree all day long.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I actually have a community leader that we're trying to get on here that is very, I don't want to say anti-police, but keeps police in their place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very vocal. Very vocal. And I'm excited to get that person because like you said, it doesn't mean no good to get people that keep thinking the same thing I think. That's not what if I conveyed it that way, it's not what I meant.
Yeah.
What I mean is just she's willing.
I got you.
She's willing to come have those conversations, not come in here and just speak over me. Come in here and and open the dialogue. Yeah. So that's the point.
My man.
All right. All right, brother. I think we reached a good spot.
All right.
Get that going. Good show, brother. Appreciate it. Cool.